All right, I think we got everybody back in and ready to go. So welcome everybody to the 13th annual Poetry Slam. And as it just so happens, there are 13 poets that you are going to hear from tonight. I'm so excited. I love magical moments like that. 13, lucky. Yes, we have 13. So I know a lot of you have been to a poetry slam, and you know how it works, but a quick primer for any of y'all who don't. So a few rules that our poets have to follow tonight. There are no costumes, no props, no music, and there is a 3-minute limit for each poem. So after 3 minutes, this is what I was discussing with the poets in the back, they will see a Portland Thorns fan go up in the air. That's the red sign showing them, hey, you've hit 3 minutes. So say that last line that you have to say, because you do get a 10-second grace period. After that 3:10, though, there's going to be some points taken off. So our poets are trying to get their poetry out in 3 minutes. There's 2 rounds. So we'll hear from all of the poets in round 1. They're going to be judged by this panel of judges over here on a score from 0 to 10. The highest score, the lowest score get thrown out. The 3 scores remaining get added together. And when we get to the end of round 1, the 5 poets that have the highest score, they're going to move on to round 2. And when we get done with round 2, scores from each round get added together. And then we find out who is the winner, our runner-up, and alternate, because it's those 3 people that are going to go to Verslandia. The winner and the runner-up will compete, and the alternate will accompany them and get to do all the behind-the-scenes stuff and be in the front row at Verslandia. So that is how things are going to work. When you have a poetry slam, to help the judges ease into their duty to assign a score to poetry, and this is the part where I always like to pause, and that you'll hear this too at Verslandia. So the point is not the point. The point is that we're here for poetry. However, when you have a competition, you do have to have some points so you can figure out who's going to move on. So to help our judges get used to giving scores, we always bring up a sacrificial poet. And this morning, as I stood at my desk, I was panicking. What am I going to do? We have an English teacher who many years has come and served as the sacrificial poet. However, this year, he was really not feeling well. And I thought, well, I don't know. I guess I can try to write something down. And then, beloved 9th grade English teacher Julia Kirkpatrick said, I'm willing to be the sacrificial poet. And I thought, you are the lucky 13. Thank you so much. So to get us started tonight, please put your hands together for Julia Kirkpatrick.
Hello. Can you also put your hands together for Miss Battle, who put so much work into organizing this, like no small feat. I would have you applaud the judges, but I'm not sure how that's going to go yet. So. For the guy in 22B who walked down the aisle to get off the plane in front of me and said to the pilot, "You flew the plane?" 10 responses. 1, I know what you're trying to say. You're trying to say, oh, wow, oh no, was I really safe? As if flight training is in any way related to genitalia? To, you want to feel secure, but why would a woman pilot make you worry? How many women carted you from place to place, from elementary school to sports practice, from LaGuardia to O'Hare? 3, you flew the plane? You can do that? Your little ladylike luggage fit nicely into the pilot's overhead bin? Your womanly womb allowed us to zoom 600 miles per hour without going boom? 4, your altitude, attagirl attitude was the only thing saving us from plummeting from a height of 40,000 feet. I had to look up what cruising altitude was. 5, why trust the experience that you just had, that you just safely took for granted when you could trust in the silly gendered stereotypes that you've been swallowing since birth? 6, you ever notice how nobody ever says that to a male pilot? Nobody ever questions the Tom Cruise Top Gun masculine mister, although admittedly they should because he did some really dumb shit up there. 7, how many girls never allow themselves to dream of the skies because of unintended men like you? How many non-binary folks will limit themselves to flight attendant, to bag check, to staying on the ground? How many times has the pilot heard that comment? 8, are you just reproducing our president's bullying BS that DEI could crash a plane? Is this how national stories get told? The ignorant American unbelieving in the innate ability of individuals outside of dominant identity results in not just a dumb thing to say, but an ostracization of an accomplished aviator? 9, I want a world where women soar. Did you fly the plane? I want to expect excellence from everyone. Did you fly the plane? I want my daughter's future to be limitless. Did you fly the plane? I want the sky and the air and all that comes with it. Did you fly the plane? I want to leave the ground. 10, yes.
All right, judges, let's hold up your scores for Miss Kirkpatrick. We have a 7.8, an 8.4, an 8.2, an 8.6, and a 10. All right, 2 reminders before we launch into our student poetry. Because I have not done this myself. I'm taking out my phone, and I am going to make sure that it is silenced. And while you're doing that, I'll say the second reminder. I always say to my students, because this question comes up every year, do I have to worry about what I'm going to say? Do I have to worry about what my poem is about? And I say, no, you do not. Because the beauty of the arts is that you get to express your true self. We know that living life, we go through hard times, and sometimes in our poetry we are sharing some hard truths. And when you share hard truths, sometimes you need some hard language to really let your audience and your reader know how you are feeling about certain things. And I tell my students, as your teacher librarian, till the end, I will be the person who defends your right to read what you want to read and your right to free speech. So I say that to our audience members, knowing there might be some strong themes and language to come up. And so now you have been forewarned. All right. Before we started tonight, I put the 12 names onto the wheel of the internet spinner. And the name that came up first was Hope Stanley. Let's welcome him to the mic.
Hi, my name is Hope Stanley. I am a three-headed boy, but these two do all the speaking. A biological intervention to my genuine introduction. They can't seem to stop. These two faces are the only ones who make my impressions, calling for attention no matter where I go. Twisting my intentions with the illusions of sweet conversations, but they always end in she or her. I am a three-headed boy, Always told who I should be, simply because I have 2 heads of meat weighing my heart down to my feet. If I squeeze them, would they pop like pimples? Would they bleed? Or would they remain radiant with identity? Their voices are always louder than mine. Apparently, my body holds more truth than my mind. Under the harsh weather of piercing words, angry with my lack of compliance, yet I remain repulsed by the field of femininity. An innate magnetism pushing away the intentions of my body, my stubbornness impenetrable by the persuasion of others, no matter how loud these heads become. I am a 3-headed boy, so I tie these faces with ropes to the constraints of my existence. They whimper because they're so used to being seen. As I compress them into the crevice that is my chest, though there's not enough room for them alongside my heart. Through bruises and bandages, they manage to speak and change every way the world can see. I wish their voices could hurt others the way they've hurt me. I wish that they could hurt others. I am a 3-headed boy, in love with androgens while engulfed in its antonym, drowning in the estrogen that's destined to imprison me, trapped in the automation of biology, forced to succumb to its desires, following the code inscribed into these lousy genes while I grow more ill, sick with their voices ringing, sick of the words I'm described, blood falling down to my neck and thighs. It could be tears, but I know it's just mine. I am a 3-headed boy.
All right. We have an 8.5, a 7.7, an 8.0, an 8.3, and a 7.0. Give it up for them. Hope I will say I appreciate that loud voice that you have. Thank you for sharing your poetry. All right. Next up to the mic, we have Clark Leesom.
All right, hi, I'm Clark. Brief trigger warning before I read this. It's about men, so there's, some like violence, some sexual assault, if you don't like that, yeah. For all the real men out there who love themselves, love women, enjoy the company of other men, hate women, hate themselves, hate the whole fucking world for turning them into whatever they are. For all the men who blur the lines between fiction and reality, who seek an escape from the suffocating expectations of others, who fell in love with girls in magazines and on the internet, whose hearts were broken when they finally realized she was never real. For all the men who think they can find themselves in strength, in narcotics, in sex, who know that they can never become stronger than themselves, that they can never get higher than themselves, that they can never wash themselves away in pleasure. For all the men who grow within us these expectations and fears, and who turn a tidy profit at the expense of our society. For all the men who are responsible for this age of hypersexualization, whose only purpose in life is to make us keep scrolling so they can take our time, our cash, our focus. For all the paraphilias and the men who have them, for all the disorders that fuck with our minds, they can turn a good experience into a bad one. For the men consumed by their hunger but never satisfied, who turn to edge play and rape to indulge their dark fantasies. For all the men who say fuck safety, fuck consent. For Segala and Miyazaki, Epstein and Trump, and all the men like them who couldn't handle the conflicting influences, who acted on their fantasies. For all the girls violated, mutilated before someone finally kills them, violated, mutilated some more. For all the corpses stuffed into suitcases and thrown into lakes. For all the men who love innocence and purity only so they can take it away, who break hymens to fix themselves only to realize that no one else cares. When lolicon and sadomasochism got boring, where did you go from there? For all the men with every privilege, yet surrounded by walls we built with our own hands. Walls of norms and expectations. For all the men conditioned by civilization who gave in to misogyny. For all the men who assault and infantilize, who are incarcerated for their thoughts by the same culture that forced them to think. For all the women who get blamed for all the shit the men do. For all the men told to have fantasies, but never to let those fantasies escape their minds. For all the men who can watch an angel dragged down from the skies by desire, tied up and brutally raped, without flinching, without crying. For all the real men out there, trapped by society's walls, rotting in cages of lust and delusion. For all the men who want to cry out for help but can't find the courage. For all the men who are too far gone to even realize what they're doing, the pain they're causing. For all the men who search for solace in blood and chains. For all the men who couldn't handle their addictions. For all the real men who rape and violate and cannibalize and torture, who witness the destruction of their own morals, who stand helpless as their minds collapse in on themselves, and who, in the aftermath, see only darkness. For all the real men, fuck you. Fuck the rapists, fuck the sadists, fuck the paraphilias, fuck the hypersexualization we created for our society. For all the real men, you are not real men, and you probably never will be.
All right, we have a 7.7, a 7.9, 7.5, 7.5, and a 7.6. And Clark, thank you for sharing some very hard truths indeed. All right, next up to the mic is Annika Campbell.
Hi, my name is Annika Campbell, and before I start, I do want to give a trigger warning. This is based off of an experience that myself and a lot of my friends and family have gone through, and it's a really hard thing that so many people, all genders, from everywhere have to deal with, and it's really fucked up. Your hands left prints on me that no amount of soap could ever fucking wash away. Your tongue scraping against me like sandpaper left rough scrapes that no Band-Aid could ever hide. There was an unspoken law and you chose not to abide, but I continue to stay by your idiotic, abusive side. You dragged me along, cornered me into the shower. I begged you to stop, but too late. You were already blinded by your own power. You didn't drag the knife across my porcelain skin, but my thighs cracked and shattered as your empty face faded into a disgusting grin. I bled profusely till I was uncontrollably numb, and there was nothing left of me, not even a fucking crumb. My mouth shaped to say no, my body begging you to stop, my heart on its final beat. I feel it about to drop. My vocal cords in disagreement decide to take an oath of silence out of the fear that you forced into my bloodstream. I'm begging myself, trying to get myself to scream. It hurts and I feel helplessly stuck. I wish I could put more effort in, but fuck. It hurts to see myself like this. I feel ashamed. My hands ball into fists. By the time I can be convinced to yell, I can barely breathe, and I'm panting like a dog. I'm trying to focus, but my thoughts are all a fog. My face is drowning. It's shoved in a pillow, cheap cotton and the stench of sweat wrestling throughout my sense of smell. Your fingers weave throughout my frizzy hair. None of this is fucking fair. Cranking, yanking, whirling, twirling as you please. I really need my mind to be put at ease. Playing with me like I'm some puppet for your personal amusement. I will never forgive you for this. I'm building up a resentment. Your deep, billowy breathing is the only sound that floods my ears and is quickly confirming my goddamn fears, rattling my thoughts and state of mind like an earthquake, one of a kind, except I'm incapable of evacuation and I'm scared of things like confrontation. Your hands seep through my skin, burning permanent scars of your presence into my nerves that will never leave me. In my eyes, it's partially my fault because I didn't fight hard enough. I just let you be. I let your eyes replace mine, and now the lingering, filthy lust gazes over me whenever I see my own reflection. I feel terrorized and used, hunted and abused. Is this all a game to you? You don't even know my name, do you? Is this a hobby or something fun? For me, it isn't, but I simply can't run. Let me be clear. Though my bones vibrate out of fear, I am not for you to play just as you please. You cannot treat me like this and simply get away with ease. You tore my heart out, then have the audacity to leave that part unsaid. You starved me and got mad when I bled. You carved me and called me bad and left me unfed. My words creak and sputter. I can't control my voice and I stutter. I need to get it out, but I can hardly utter. These words are jailed through sharp, clenched teeth. I wish I could erase it all this entire fucking week. You took advantage and made excuses for the damage. You left me in pain, and what did you gain? Was it worth it? Did I deserve it? Do you even have regrets? Is this some sort of fucked up bet? Does it matter to you, or am I another plate that clattered? What were the other girls like? Did they drive cars? Did they ride a bike? Were they flatter or fatter? Did they even matter? I mean, really, did I? Would you even care if my heart just stopped and I fucking died? I mean, would you even cry? I'd wipe your tears, then wash my hands, but no amount of soap would be enough. No matter how much I spend. Your hands left prints on me that no amount of soap could wash away. No amount could make amends. So I guess this is just the end.
All right. We have an 8.9, an 8.0, a 7.6. a 7.9, and a 7.8. Harsh words, but I'm glad you have a platform to share. We are on to our next poet. Back just in time. Welcome up to the microphone, Dash Breyer.
I don't think anybody shared titles, so I don't know if I'm supposed to, but I called mine Time Lock by this just like 2 hours ago. But so forever feels slow, like a moment that won't fray until it snaps, and suddenly it's yesterday. Time, a wolf with unblinking eyes, jaws wide, swallows the clock's soul, leaving behind memories and art, a cruel reminder. It's gone before we even start. Grief sank its claws into my chest, like a beast distressed. How could you fade so fast? My hand grasping yours delicately at last. As you breathed your final days away, time froze, and at speeds unknown began to decay. From time's dust an ember will rise, its flames erupt with voiceless cries. Why do the cruel get time to burn, when the kind get none in return? This is for those who have lived with anger and pain, who return day after day to the hospital bed, refusing to let doubt invade your head, who cling on to collapsing stars that dim, their lights fading like whispers on a whim. Who gets you through the storm and rain? For me it was him, his laughter that filled the room, infinite jokes that killed the gloom. So listen, cancer, thief cloaked in shadows, stealing breath, silent predator, stalking death, so clever and sly. Let's see you shatter as we watch your power die. But here's what you'll never understand. We are more than what you take from our hands. We carry their stories and are here to reclaim. Isn't that why we're still calling their names? That's
Dash, that theme of that poem reminded me of the book we just read for quarterly book study called Orbital. Appreciate that examination of time. All right, we have a 7.4, a 7.0, a 7.0, a 7.3, and a 7.0. I was so caught up in time, I forgot who is coming to the mic next, and that would be Grace.
Okay, hi. For my people. My people? Who are my people? What don't I know? Growing up thinking I don't have people. Getting older knowing I do, but my lack of knowledge is enough to say I don't. Scraping up what I can to understand it. German, Armenian, two opposing sides. The Armenian genocide, sparking inspiration for Hitler, helping him create one of the most horrific points in history, the Holocaust. German, they say? Are you a Nazi? Resentment, understandable for what they've done. Horrible and unforgivable, yes. But why me? Why does that automatically make me a bad person? They have culture and language and traditions just like any other. Don't tell them. You've learned that the hard way. They'll raise their right arm and mock you. Don't say a thing. How do you pronounce that? They ask. My name, exotic, I'm told, Isayan. Where's it from? They question. It's Armenian. Every time I tell people that, they say the same thing. Huh, but you're white. Sometimes I feel like a fraud because I don't look the part. What do I say? This is who I am. These are my people. That can't change. Food is what brings us together. My grandma always makes Armenian food and writes about them. Never have I seen her write down German dishes or make them, with the exception of pfeffernuss, but always making Armenian dishes. Silent gesture for my grandpa, who doesn't talk much, keeps himself. He's a quiet soul, cares very much about his family, will do anything for them, and has. The food she makes possibly a token of gratitude, maybe not. I accept the fact that people will judge, will think that I'm one of those people who say, did you know I'm like 9% Asian? I'm not. But I don't expect that to change their view, so I stay hidden, quiet, unconnected.
All right, we have an 8.0, a 7.2, a 6.6, a 7.0, and a 7.1. And Grace, I will say, because of your poem, now we feel connected to you, so thank you for sharing. Next up to the mic, we have Addie.
Hi. This poem is called "The Girl in the Photos." She's got the spirit of a lion and the energy of a puppy. I'm no songwriter, but I do try. Looking at the girl in the photos, she listens to Sabrina's old music, First Aid Kit and Usher, LMFAO's Sexy and I Know It, and Soulja Boy. She dances around in dresses and scarves with a stuffed kitty around her neck. Eyes are ablaze like blue icy fire, cold and steely to the first glance, but really very sweet once you understand. I'm definitely a writer. Take a look at the documents dated from 2016 and up on my mom's old laptop. Side note, they're all unfinished. Too many ideas and simply not enough brain to carry them all out. She's a fan of SNL from the ripe age of maybe 6. My ex, my mom, and I are all collectively love Kate McKinnon. And speaking of exes, who knew? The girl in the photos doesn't know how to date. She doesn't know she will ever. And since when do I kiss people? That's an insane thought. The girl in the photos is laughing because someone said doo-doo, probably not because someone made it that's what she said joke. She's mature for her age. I still swallow beads for attention. What a dumb thing. I'm exhausted just from breathing half the time, and just look at her. The girl in the photos is climbing up mountains every single day because she is brave and she is smart and she is strong, and she is doing it all in a half-sleeve gray dress she wore to her parents' wedding. She was born among bustling metropolis but grew to seek comfort in the great unknown. Trees upon mountains upon mountains. The girl in the photos doesn't give two damns about what people think. We're gonna live in a trailer? Yes, we are. Sounds awesome. But that comes with a price. The girl in the photos is lonely and sad sometimes, but aren't we all? Yes, but the girl in the photos doesn't have a friend her age, and all she has is a doll half her size she named Anna because that's the name she chose for her future child. The girl in the photos is me. The girl in the photos is me, and she is still here. She is facing shit every day. The girl I am now, I'm in a completely new era of my life. The girl in the photos doesn't care about brushing her hair or pleasing her peers. The girl in the photos doesn't yet face the disappointment of seeing a big fat C on the physics test she spent 2 days studying for. The girl in the photos is me, and she is innocent. She is adorable in ways that I am not now. The girl in the photos doesn't seek comfort in her Pinterest boards or blocking out the world with her noise-canceling headphones. The girl in the photos blasts her music freely and sings along and dances, and she cries and she laughs and she breathes in the air of freedom because she is a past me. And I miss her every single day, but I know she's happy living in her own memory. She's like a ghost, and she watches me and she cheers me on because she knows I need it. The girl in the photos is me, and she is someone I never want to forget. A 6.8, a 6.8, a 7.4, and an 8.0. And just so you know, Addie, I had a big fat D in geometry in high school, and I still managed to go on to college and grad school. Physics is hard. It's really hard. You're next. What's the handle for it?
Okay. Probably isn't like the right place to ask a question, but I forgot to. Do they start timing when you start talking, or
When you start.
Okay.
You'll be fine. No one's been penalized. We like hearing the back matter before you get started.
Go ahead and give them a point off here. It's gonna be long.
It's all good. All good. All right. And with that, let's bring Gio on up to the mic.
Sorry. I'm Gio. Write a poem about laughter. Write a poem about your day and every little thing you went through to get to this moment. Write a poem about how you keep shooting for the moon and landing among the stars, and about how you're scared that someday the stars won't be enough anymore. Write about your parents getting divorced when you were young, about your mom having cancer when you were even younger. Write about how you're afraid to tell people that because you know how the light in their eyes will dim and the pity in their voices will grow. Write a poem about how she got through it, about how cancer didn't know who it was up against. Write about the way that you cried before that one surgery. Write a poem about the guy in your PE class who you can't stop thinking about and about how he's probably not thinking about you. Write a poem about being the perfect boyfriend, about getting taken advantage of, about your friends who correlate calories with beauty or something that you don't understand. Write a poem about all of the words you wish you had said, but instead you held them in like a flower that never blooms. Write a poem about how it's not too late to say those words. Because when you write a poem, you take the world in your hands. You say, "This is how I see you." Writing a poem is a reminder that your words carry importance like a queen carries her crown. Write a poem and read it, because there is nothing that a collection of words begs for more than to be spoken aloud by its founder. Read your poem even if your voice sounds like a quiet river limping over jagged rocks. When you read your poem, you light up the room, you light up the hearts in the room that need lighting up too, and maybe someday someone will hear it. Here we listen to each other, which means we are listening to the echoes and impressions of those who came before us, who were brave enough to write their stories when it had never been done before. They wrote so that we could hear, and we hear so that we can write, and write a poem about that. And I hope you keep on writing it.
Okay, we have a 9.7, a 7.9, an 8.4, an 8.7, and a 9.0.
Right. Next up, we have Olivia on the microphone.
Sorry, I just gotta get this. Okay. We are a really good story. And when I picture us, I can so easily picture the novel we could be. A girl and a boy who met because the boy moved in across the street. A girl and a boy who stopped talking because the boy's family moved away. A girl and a boy who fell in love again because the girl had the gall to write and send a letter to a boy she had not talked to in 2 years. But I guess that's just the problem. We are the novelty that doesn't happen in the real world. Because in the real world, the boy just moves away. And falling in love again would be too perfect for reality, so probably what will happen when I continue to text you is nothing. Probably I will continue to want, and you will continue to care just enough to respond to the girl you used to know. The probably of this ends with a boy who thinks a girl is strange, a boy who thinks a girl is insistent and maybe a little bit annoying, but probably has never met me,
You see, I like novelty, and I build worlds in my head for fun. I spend too much time bending in fantasy till something is love-shaped, and I believe that I can make us love-shaped. Because I don't want us to be parallel lines, woven a little too far to be intertwined, and I know that we won't fit like puzzle pieces or a matching pair of socks, because people don't do that, because people are whole. But instead, we can fit like the driver and the DJ in the car. We can fit like two flowers that grew a little closer than the others. We can fit like two pins that hold a well-loved poster. As long as we fit in carved spaces that we make for each other, then we fit just as we should. And I'm tired of fate and destiny. I'm tired of the world pulling people apart. So in my desperate plea to stay in your life, I am pulling strings back together and tying them where it feels right. I am bending till this is love-shaped, because I learned that life only happens when you make it, and love only happens when you're willing to try. So my love for you will keep being around, and I will keep speaking it through carefully crafted characters and inked poems. I will keep asking you silly questions, and maybe by the end of high school, we can make a reality out of a novelty. Thank you.
All right, we have a 6.8, an 8.8, a 7.5, a 7.4, and a 7.3. Probably, Olivia, should keep writing some poems in that journal. Olivia is a repeat at our Poetry Slam. Thank you for coming to the home tonight. And right next to Olivia is Harriet, so come on up.
It'd be really funny if I was going right after Olivia.
Little did you know.
Okay. Hopefully I don't need that. Last year I wrote a different poem about religion. It was half hate and half self-pity, and now I hate and pity it. But I've got a new poem this year, because there's a beauty in the traditions I despise and the stories I analyze. There is a home here, even if I do not want to inherit it. I grew up with ash on my forehead and the three wise men over my front door. Grew up thinking the kingdom of God was a castle in the clouds, and picking out which of my friends I thought would go to it. Back then, I settle into church pews and play yo-yo with my mind. Stand up, sing, sit down, imagine vultures crashing through the saints' faces and sweeping me away, and panic, take quick breaths of incense, trying to drown out my saliva before I take communion on the tongue. Stained glass windows were more my savior than God ever was, tracing the lead lines with my mind, match the symbols with stories, the ones from Sunday school, not the gospel, because I'm far too busy being crowned king of the vultures for the priest's words to leave anything more than the barest impression, the same familiar stanzas, the same automatic responses. All it ever was repetition. I grew out of God like the tooth fairy, kept putting prayers under my pillow long after I knew no one listened. Kept going through the motions. I sit in church, look at stained glass, and ignore whatever Father Dave says. When I walked out that door, I traded my belief for bitter resentment, blamed so much of you on your faith, spent so long wishing I'd never heard of a God. But who would I be if I'd grown up without candlesticks in the living room and a Bible on your nightstand? Now I settle into church pews and write stories and poems on my mind. I pack in the ink and wonder how I'd have sat through middle school bus rides or second Christmases if I'd never watched vultures swoop and circle. Church taught me to imagine, taught me to look at the stained glass and wonder what's behind, find inside jokes between the lines of scriptures. It's a point of pride when I can find some biblical allusion. And I can't deny it's all very pretty, but pretty like stained glass is pretty, has to filter all the light in the world into the same stories, the same people. I've started understanding the priest's homilies, started to connect them with the objections you make to human rights. I've been inside that house. I've seen how those windows twist every color into something else. But I also know that there's a door right there and that a house down the road with windows not so dark, and I'm not angry to have grown up in your house, and I don't know what would have happened in another, and I know there's a home for you there, and I don't mind being invited over, but I need you to understand there is no home for me in your house.
All right, we have an 8.0, a 9.0, an 8.8, a 9.0, and an 8.0. Harriet is someone who from kindergarten to 12th grade attended a Bible-believing fundamental Christian private school. That poem spoke to me. All right. Next up on the mic is Deb.
Hi, I'm Deb, and this is Tire Swing. We knew each other on the playground. It was only for a single sun-drenched afternoon. Your mom called you home for dinner, and you had to go. You never told me your name. I never told you mine. We took turns, pushing each other on the tire swing. It was an unconditional love, untouched by outside forces. We all had to grow up, eventually. We all had to leave the playground. We all had to go home for dinner. The love is still there, swinging on the tire swing, drenched in the sun and sweat, laughing so hard its stomach hurts. I hope we find the tire swing again.
All right, we have a 6.8, a 6.8, a 7.3, a 7.8, and a 7.0. I too had a tire swing in my backyard. Okay, we have up next, I'm kind of stalling for time. There we go. Okay, our penultimate, and if you know me, you know I love that word, penultimate poet tonight is Kestrel.
Hi, I'm Kestrel. When I looked in the mirror tonight, I saw myself, and that wouldn't be weird normally, but it's a strange feeling to see yourself so crystal clearly when you never have before. When I was younger, I would look in the mirror and I'd see this imitation of myself, this faker, this replacement, because when I would look in the mirror, I didn't see myself. I saw who society wanted me to be. I saw my mother's daughter. I saw this perfect impersonation. And don't get me wrong, I was good at being this misinterpretation, but I can't be who society wants me to be if that's not who I wanted me to be. I would spend years looking in the mirror, and from my ears to my toes, I wouldn't recognize myself. I'd like what I saw. I appreciate the beauty, but what's the point of beauty if it's not you? What's the point of beauty if it's not true? What's the point of beauty if you don't even want to be beautiful? I looked in the mirror today and I saw myself because I took reality into my own hands, and like a potter I molded it. I took the hard, dense clay of reality and I morphed it into what I wanted. I looked in the mirror today, I saw myself. I saw who I wanted me to be, not who society did. I saw my father's son. For once in my life, I saw me. I've been on this earth 17 years. It took me 17 years to like my own reflection in the mirror. 17 years of staring in the mirror, wishing to fit in, wishing I could become who I so desperately wanted to be. And when I looked in the mirror today, I saw myself, but I did yesterday as well, because every time my emotions swelled, I took that as an opportunity to improve, an opportunity to not conform to anything that's not my view of self. I've seen myself in the mirror a lot recently. It feels freeing, it feels euphoric, but it's strange. It's strange that it doesn't feel strange anymore, because when something has felt strange all your life, when something is the cause of this much internal strife, how do you deal with it feeling ordinary?
All right, we have an 8.7, an 8.6, a 7.5, a 7.5, and a 7.3. Thank you, Kestrel. I see you every day, and it makes me happy when I'm at school. Kestrel never fails to brighten my day because he always has compliments to give out. I appreciate that. All right, and with that, we come to poet number 12, and that is Selah. Come on up.
My name is Selah Gabbert, and this is called You Never Loved Me. You never loved me, but you were the subject of my pros and cons list. You were the star in each of my dreams. You were the culprit of all of my tears and the person that could plaster a smile as real as snot on my pillow. You are now the warning that blares in my mind when someone gets a little too close, but still, you were my sun in the dark, my moon when I needed sleep. I still feel the warmth of the day on that blanket, the warmth of your lips, a constant linger, or the rain from the day where we talked on the couch. You were my scent and my beauty, and without you, I couldn't breathe. I still see you and feel you. You still star in my dreams, which were once visions of our future, but only now just nightmares. You still stain my pillow with tears. You never loved me. I loved you so much, I forgot who I was and who I could be. I forgot how to spread my wings because you clipped them down like you did my heart and soul and personality. I needed you more than I needed me. I knew you so well, I did not know myself. I let you go because you were my life support. You were my drug, my carbon dioxide. I loved you, but our love was infested and infected, built on the addiction of each other, till our love was so strong it was so far removed from both of our bodies. You never loved me. I wish that were true, because now I no longer know what to do. I no longer know what kind of person to be, because who am I if I no longer cry, no longer crave the attention, no longer play the mind games we got so good at playing? Our love is now silent. Silence is who I am and who I can be. Maybe silence is free. Silence does not know tears. You never loved me. If silence were a place, you'd be shut out. If silence were the ocean, I'd dive in, no fear of drowning. If silence was your mom, you'd be a better person. If silence was our love, maybe it could last. If only we learned to be silent like the break of the rain to let the sun shine through, or the little Selah written in the Bible suggesting for a break in the song, or so much as the simplicity of the absence of silence, we could be beautiful. But our love was the rain, and the beauty can only come in the form of rainbows painting the sky when the rain has ceased and when the silence becomes a voice of its own. And in silence, that is where I will pick my broken pieces up. Silence is where I rebuild.
All right, we have a 7.6, a 7.5, a 7.7, 7.2, and 7.8.
Selah, even though you were living in the silence, I'm glad that you shouted out that poem. All right, so that is the end of round one. We're going to take a quick 5-minute break, tally the scores, and then spin the wheel again to see who's going in round two. Get that second poem pulled out. This is not the order you're going in. This is just the order they wrote the names down for me. We have Geo, Harriet, Hope, Annika, and Kestrel. Moving on to round 2. Looking around the room, I know we had one person dash out. We're going to wait.
We have a question.
Question.
Can I print my poem?
What's that?
Can I print my second poem?
Yes, you can print your second poem. That is just fine. Why don't we, Spencer, can you help at the printing kiosk to get the second poem printed out? Okay, it's a lucky thing he is not going first again. Let's see, I feel like we had one other person run out. Is that person back in? Yes, okay. The names of round 2 poets are Geo, Harriet, Hope, Annika, and Kestrel. All right. First up, round 2 is Harriet.
This is actually the poem I wrote last year about religion. Not performed last year, but okay. In first grade, I thought I was the most religious because I slept at the tippy top of the house, closest to God, till I realized I wasn't included in God's benevolence or yours. You have been painted into the stained glass of my life, tainting my vision till all churches run red in my eyes until I can't separate you from religion or politics from you. As day turns to night, I can almost forget who you are in the light, almost love you again because I want to, I really want to. I still get defensive when my friends insult you. I've earned my hatred, but I don't want it. I want to bury it, forgive you, make it all go back to when you would sing, "Knees up, Mother Brown," cleaning my skinned shins. Now my heart's skinned and you won't touch the bandages because you say they're lies. So I lie to you. I watch more than my swearing around you, and I watch you. College and security pour from one hand, but the other holds a rosary that wraps around my throat. Tear it off, and my future slips through my fingers. Keep my mouth shut, and I condemn myself to a future of bile rising in the back of my throat as I lean back in a mirror. One day, I will introduce you to who I've always been, lay truth before you on Judgment Day, and one day I will forgive you.
Okay. Do you want me to tap dance? Tell some stories? I did. It almost got me kicked out of school. 8.5, 9.5, 8.1, 8.7, and 7.5. Welcome back to the mic once again, Annika.
Will I introduce myself again? I'm Annika Campbell, and this is my poem called Swallows. I feel too deeply. Some say deeper than others. Nothing can muffle it under the sheets, under the covers, so I push the blade even deeper than that to drown out the swarming thoughts that have molded into diving swallows. The birds are shot down one by my screeches as I slam my head against the door frame. The
The blood dripping down frames my face, a dark red wine wetting lace. As the swallow's feathers fall, so do my eyelids. The rigid creases folding over, blinding me, gently closing on like the slamming doors around the household. The melancholy stench that only the alcoholic himself enjoys drips from your lips. My jaw locks as a thick hatred that sizzles uncomfortably on my tongue is slowly brought to a boil, about to bubble over. I don't feel lucky no longer, no fourth leaf clovers, so I'm left alone with the bother. I feel so much and so little all in one. I chew my nails, specifically my thumb. I don't want to feel anymore. Please just make me go numb. Instead of feeling unforgivable hate, I clench my ragged teeth and swallow my words sharp as swords, slicing my throat into a bloody flesh mess. If only I could swallow food the same way I swallow my words. I'm losing weight quicker and quicker. The stress occupies all of the space in my stomach. The words sizzle away as they're trampled in the other simmering thoughts. But if I swallow food, suddenly that hatred finds the cracks between my teeth and pushes through to shake hands with everyone around me. My emotions suddenly brought to an uncontrollable loudness that everyone must hear, elevated and growing from the fear. No more swallowing, just loud, obnoxious chewing. Don't chew with your mouth open, people whine, as the rinds of citrus fruit drops to my feet, the yellow shines from the lemons and limes. Well, why not? I snarl in return as my face heats up, starting to burn, my mind in sync starting to churn. It's disrespectful. Why? Because I'm taking up all your unused space? Are you scared to be replaced? I'm stealing your silence. You're so quiet, it's as if you're unconscious. You've clearly never brought yourself to swallow anything besides sweet syrup-coated pancakes. Well, I hope you eat so many that your stomach aches. You can't handle anything that's not sweet. You are such a goddamn cheat. You only feel the surface level thoughts filled with happy, sappy love and flavor. You might be fine now, but God, you better pray that your future can save her. You've never had to taste anyone's bitterness before, you spoiled bitch. You aren't prepared for the day that no one cares. You're seen as a waste. They'll all leave you. They'll all ditch. You've never had to bite your tongue and digest your blood as your only meal. You are so emotionless. God, you barely even feel. Everything eats and is eaten, they say. Everything dies and nothing can stay. But when you taste me, I will not be sweet for you. I will not go to waste. I bite and I won't be beat. I will be sour and textured. I am not some delicate flower, and I will not be lectured. Your words are empty and meaningless, sketchy and deceiving us. The plate I'm served on will look calloused and tired and gaze into your line of sight with a drowsy expression, but that doesn't mean that the plate isn't just as functional as the rest. It's not yet broken, it's just a bit softer spoken. Just because I'm sour or bitter, you cannot overpower me. I'll simmer and boil until I spoil. Just because I'm sour or bitter doesn't mean I can't be sugar-coated and brought to a sweeter perspective. You can add sugar to anything. It doesn't mean it'll taste good, though. Some people don't like sour, and some people still haven't learned to swallow.
Okay. We have a 7.6, an 8.9, a 7.9, a 7.7, and an 8.5. Back up to the microphone once again is Kestrel.
Hi, I'm Kestrel Goward, and this is shower thoughts. Drip, drop, drip. I turn the water on. I step into the cold porcelain of the shower. Drip, drop, drip. Was that response I said 3 hours ago okay? Are there better ways I could have handled today? I could have phrased my questions better. I could have not inquired about that. All the ways today could have gone pulse through me. Boom, ba-boom, boom. I grab the soap. Drip, drop, drip. Did I do the assignment today? Am I going to pass my class? Did I turn in my file? Wait. It's April. Why would I have a final? I go back to showering, all the thoughts in my head still racing fervently like little race car drivers living in my head. Drip, drop, drip, la, dee, wait a second, that's it. That's gold. I can use that. If I write fast, that can be, I'm in the shower, and it's like the midnight hour. I should be writing music. Drip, drop, drip, wait, did I text that person? I really need to do that by today. All I needed to say was asking for my text up. Wait, I should insult myself. I should just shower. Drip, drop, drip. I try to get out of the shower, leaving my clot of shower thoughts behind. This always happens. I always cry. Drip, drop, drip. I grab a towel. Drip, drop, drip. Why does the shower do this to me? Why does it leave me alone with my own brain? Drip, drop, drip. I leave the bathroom in the stain. Why can't my shower thoughts just leave me for once?
microphone is Gio.
Rules for the boys' bathroom at school. Don't sing. The door is thinner than you think, so your voice could leak out like a beautiful flood that drips into some guy's ear. If he walks in and says something, then you better be careful. I'm talking low voice, fake laugh, taking notes on all the things you say that make you sound not tough. Then you never sing in the bathroom again, even though your singing gets worse because of it. Also, don't talk to people unless they talk to you. There's nothing quite as embarrassing as a tall, skinny boy with glasses and a toothy grin offering a "have a good day" to someone he's never even met before. You're not going to get a response or a hint of appreciation. It's not going to make the other guy's day better in the midst of everything. Or, it's not going to give a sliver of hope like you hoped, something light, like that soap that keeps getting stolen. The words you too aren't going to sentimentally trickle out of his mouth back to you, no matter how much you want them to. If you're going to write something on the walls, don't just write names of people that you hate or names of people you wish would love you. Write something that other guys can relate to, because God knows we all could use a little graffiti bathroom pick-me-up to give us a taste of that graphite-etched sunshine in the afternoon that reminds us we're not alone. If another guy is in the bathroom, then wait for him to leave before you go. Don't start a conversation about the way that you feel, and don't exit the bathroom, then your fear gets revealed. So just stand around like a kid at a door on Halloween, except instead of candy, the prize is being alone. Pull out your phone and quietly scroll through TikTok and try to ignore the voice coming from your bladder that is telling you to dance. Oh, and another thing. Nobody likes a rule follower. The risk is up to you, but breaking one of these rules just might ignite you with a rush of rebellion mixed with that scent of warm water and gas that puts a spring in your step on your walk back to class.
Okay, we have an 8.8, a 9.6, an 8.5, an 8.9, and a 9.7. I believe the printer has given us the poem, and now let's bring up the poet. Oh.
I'm just a girl. I'd rather not be. I can't help it because it's all they'll ever see. Not because I am. Not because I feel like such a girl, but because I am such a girl. I mean, look at me. Do I look like a girl? Do I act like a girl? What makes a girl? It doesn't matter. It's not my call. The best I can do is surpass your expectations. Just today, the way a smile glowed when I sang well. It's not enough to play guitar. Where's the soul? I just need to put my soul in, my heart, my veins. I'm just a girl, so it's not enough to be simply mediocre. Would my singing be just as good if my larynx fell? If I dropped a few octaves? How about a few pounds? The way he smiled at me, making butterflies flutter, my heart skipping a beat, I'm such a girl. As I belt my tiny heart out on stage, as I move and groove to the beat, my girly nature makes it worse for me. And better. Worse because I'm not enough as me. Better because on stage, I'm just a girl, and that's how he'd prefer me, right? It feels so personal, so intimate, like my ears are the only to ever hear it. I capture his compliment and cradle the sound because it's just for me. From the first chord to the last strum, it's something just for me. Just for a little, wounded, confused girl. And I relate because I'm a girl. Girl, here, confused. How much longer do I have to play this game? Play this game till I'm desirable, till you want me? My breasts feel so big, but the breasts of those above me are even bigger. How much should I sacrifice for my success? How much skin do I have to show to perform well? How much of myself do I have to hide for you to like me? I'm just a girl. What I do is live. I don't survive. What I do is sacrifice everything in the hopes of a kiss. When I sing and scream, do you know what I mean? When I say I'm just a girl, do you know what I mean? When I hit those high notes, I can feel your eyes glance. Can we lock feelings, search for hearts beating? But I'm just a girl. My pulse is too weak to feel. My pulse is non-existent without someone controlling me. What's a night without spiraling about not being wanted, desired, loved, or craved? I can't help it. I'm just a girl.
Okay, we have a 7.5, a 7.9, a 7.5, an 8.1, and a 7.5. All right, our wonderful math genius, Mona Schreier, is going to go crunch some numbers. Sadly, this will be her last poetry slam for a while because she's moving to Japan next year to teach abroad. Okay, let's have all of our poets who competed tonight come on up because we want to get a picture of everybody. All right, so audience, this is your chance. Take the photo. Oh, Mr. Patrick's taking one. My husband's taking one. I'm going to get in the photo too. Yeah, I feel like, oh, paparazzi. Okay, so here we go. In third place tonight, our alternate that will be going to Verslandia is Annika. Okay, our runner-up, second place, competing in Verslandia is Harriet. And that means that our winner tonight, Harriet, there we go. Woo! Our winner tonight is Gio. Sincerely, I thank all of these amazing students for sharing their art with us tonight. And I thank all of you for coming out on a school night to celebrate poetry. So thank you, and hope to see you at Verslandia.